starting off on the wrong foot there.
Why? What happened?
Nothing. Just streamed our ending music.
Oh.
But, not a problem. So anyway, this is the Jimmy Doane Show, which means it's 4 o'clock Wednesdays or Sundays, Eastern Standard Time. And we are right here on Facebook. Also, I'll post a timestamp copy of this show up on YouTube and Twitter, probably sometime later tonight. And you can find us around the web in audio format. Search for Jimmy Doane, D-O-A-N-E. Today is the 11th day of December. Happy birthday, Uncle Ed or Uncle John, one of the two of them. I always get them switched. One of them's 2 days ago, so happy birthday, both of them. Hope you guys are doing well. Anyway, what is happening today?
What has happened? Well, it's been the last couple of days. We got a little bit of news just to get it out of the way. We had a new listener too, and I forgot his name. I feel so bad about that.
Oh, brilliant!
Yeah, we had a new one that came in.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you anyway. Yeah, send me another email or something. I thought this was kind of interesting. We're going to go overseas to England for just a few minutes here.
Okay.
I don't know. I think that's
Medieval England, eh?
in medieval England. That's right. I thought this is rather ironic. The British money printer is in dire straits.
Yeah.
Cancels the dividend as its debt soars. Now here's an outfit that prints the money, the pounds, for England, and they don't have enough money to pay their bill. I mean, how do you not do? You're printing money.
Well,
okay?
you know how that happens.
Why don't you just scrape it a little off the table? I don't understand.
Yeah, well, that's what they should be doing, but you know that's because of some regulatory. The money printer, thou shalt only make 0.01% on thou money.
Can't even handle that. It says the new management, led by CEO so-and-so, warned that his company's £171 million debt pile. And it turns out that the place is valued at $140 million. Mm-hmm. So the debt is more than the entire. In other words, if you sold the company off, you'd still be in debt.
Oops.
Yeah, they're in upside down. But I don't know. See, I just they've cut people, they've slashed costs, and I don't know. Next thing I know, they're going to be running toilet paper through there, I guess, instead of the.
I mean, it can always be bad management. It doesn't take much.
No, I know that, but I just thought it was interesting. But apparently, it's a publicly held company. I mean,
well, you see, that's what I'm talking about. Because if it's a publicly held company, you mean
like on the stock,
right,
Brit
okay.
stock market.
Okay, I take it all back then.
Okay, yeah, no, I mean that's
it's just bad management.
Bad management, and they said that the stock, when they put out their report, the stock dropped by 25% in one day. Now, you would
ouch.
Yeah, ouch. No, I mean,
well, the good news about that is that if it's theoretically, if it's just a regular old company and it doesn't exist only because there's that one particular market, then there'll be other
customer.
Yeah, one client. Yeah. Which is very possible.
Yeah.
Then they should be able to get a replacement.
You would think. I don't know. Sell off the printers.
Well, and somebody's got to do it.
Well, I can imagine that some somebody like, I don't know, Steve Forbes or somebody, or what's his name, the Virgin Airlines guy, he could buy up the presses and, print his own money.
I don't put it past him. Amazon.
What's his name,
bucks.
Branson?
Yeah, Richard Branson, or Bezos bucks, or
something. Right, Bezos bucks. Yeah. We don't need that way. We don't need any cryptocurrencies anymore. We got the real stuff.
Yeah. Well, if they would allow, obviously, currency substitutions,
right,
which obviously are fully outlawed. You simply can't circulate something that's designed to go into circulation.
Right.
That's by definition you're in violation. So
yeah. Well, of course it wasn't like that. I was listening to somebody the other day talk about how bad things were in the 1800s until 1900 and all that stuff, and they were talking about and what he didn't realize was we didn't have a central bank then, and that was when we went from during that time we went from the first railroads. Mm-hmm. To until 1911, when you had just cross country everywhere, everything, and on and on. So,
well, they tried to do central bank 3 different times in the late 1800s.
they did?
Yeah. Well, you remember, I mean, that part, there was, Lincoln tried to do it.
Well, he did it. I mean, they just printed up greenbacks.
Okay.
That's what they did. It wasn't a central bank. They just printed them up like they did in the South.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about monetary policy whereby somebody takes control
Supreme Court finally tossed it out after the war.
Exactly. That's why I say tried.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, what we're talking about here is, of course, somebody wants to be in control of the medium of exchange.
Yeah, who doesn't?
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's just another service.
Have Jesus come through and throw them out.
And that's one of the reasons he was pissed about it, because he wanted to be in control of that shit.
I guess he could have waved his hand, you know.
Well, he did. They did. It was pay him, not them. That's why they killed him.
Other item though from this is kind of interesting. I think it's today. I'm not sure it's either today or tomorrow. Is the election in England?
Yeah. It's like right now.
It's right. Yeah, I think it's right now.
Yeah.
And so if the Labour Party leader, who's Jeremy Corbyn, now his is
socialist.
well, no, it's Bernie Sanders on steroids.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this guy, if he wins, and it's really close. I mean, it's really close.
Yeah.
I think about this. You know, you wonder who the hell is voting for this socialist stuff when they've seen the disasters across the board. And the one time when they became a power again after the Second World War was Margaret Thatcher, who said, "Okay, we're selling everything off," and they sold everything off basically, privatized a whole lot of stuff.
You know how the cycle works.
Yeah, I do. It's just stunning. So anyway, he's promising to a remix of British society with strong emphasis on raising the lot of Britain's disenfranchised and forcing tax-dodging corporations and wealthy individuals to pick up part of the tab. Now, I will give him credit for this. He does say forcing, because here they always talk about a contribution. You know, your Social Security contribution.
Right. Your fair share.
Yeah, your fair share, right. Anyway, and what he's worried about, Corbyn's key theme is that decades of unbridled free market capitalism. I always love that, because what you...
Unbridled. It's been running wild like the wind.
Running crazy. And so what they're going to do, the government is now going to put the bridle on.
Right.
And they know how to run it.
Hell, they're going to make it into a workhorse.
That's it.
It's
That's right.
trampling
Budweiser.
poppies until now it'll tote beer. Exactly.
Yeah, tote beer. That's right. So, anyways, unbridled free market capitalism. Well, boy, that's terrible. Created a capitalist elite at the expense of the working people.
When I hear that all the time, this unbridled capitalism, and you hear it from people over here talking about this is what capitalism has brought us, and I'm like, no, it hasn't. When they talk about the bad stuff in the healthcare system today, and to me, the bad stuff is the socialized part.
Yeah.
Well,
the thing about it is, one of the problems is when they want the government, who's got guns, to put the bridle on, and you know, is there any chance that they might do it wrong?
Well, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, the concept is, look, if you think you can do it better, go form a company that does it voluntarily with a bunch of people, gather them together, and do it.
Yeah.
And instead,
who will build the roads? Of course, we say there's a big thing here in the Gainesville Sun today about they're wanted to the people that are running for office or whatever it is. They're talking about the parks and the recreation and a lot of the social services, what they really want to do. And of course, all the letters in there are saying, "How about the roads? For God's sake, can you fix the roads before you take off more of our land?"
We're getting a new sports complex. Have you heard about
sports complex? Yes, I saw that. Yeah, that's
because we don't have enough sports in this town.
No, that's for sure. Anyways, he said they have seen what Corbyn's key theme. He says he's seen public services slashed and aspirations dampened.
They were murdered,
I guess, but
public services were
aspirations.
Bled.
Yeah, bled. Well, I don't know. The 70-year-old Corbyn presents himself today as much as he did when he was a little-known backbencher, and he's a crumpled figure, battle-hardened by decades of jousting against capitalism and big business. And he's
a true believer.
He is a true believer. Boy, that's amazing. So that's...
Well, somebody's got to be. And then there are
But I mean, it's so fascinating that he's 70 years old, okay?
Uh-huh.
He's seen the devastation, absolutely, that socialism and that kind of stuff has brought to people. I mean, millions, untold millions of people have died.
This is not the capitalism you're looking for.
That's right.
Look, it's as you know, it's easy to delude oneself. He could have any number of issues and have convinced himself because of that this philosophy is correct. And
God, as I say, it's amazing to me when I listen to some of the stuff on the podcast now that you can get so much of it, and you sit there and you're going, what are you thinking? I mean, have you read the paper or anything? So anyway, moving along, back here to the States. I thought this was a little side note here. California bans insurers from dropping policies in the fire-ravaged areas.
Yes.
So in other words, here, the state insurance
for 1 year.
Huh?
For 1 year.
Is it for 1 year?
Yeah,
1 year moratorium banning from not renewing policies for homeowners in fire-ravaged areas. What does he think is going to happen? I mean, you have to renew it at the price that they've been paying. Here.
Or they may build in some, you can only raise it by X percentage or something. But the thing is that the fact that it's 1 year means that they're expecting to have those insurance companies abrogated, those contracts abrogated at the end of the year. They're not going to force them to stick around longer than that. And the season's only 1 year from now, so you don't have to worry about any fires like for the next year, basically.
Well, maybe. I just, the whole thing is, I mean, how do you force a company to stay in there?
Well, this is.
I mean, you dissolve the company. We're going out of business.
Well, not only that, but this is an insurance company. Their entire job is mitigating potential risk. That's it. That's all they do is sit around and calculate potential risk. So, and you're just going to come in and wave your hand and make and change the calculation.
Yeah.
And but they've
it's
done
the new
that.
math.
Huh?
It's the new math.
Well, right. Yeah, exactly. Well, they've gotten into the habit of doing that with the auto insurance companies.
Yeah.
They're forcing them to pay this and that, and forcing them to accept policies here and there, and forcing us to pay the policies here and there. And
no fault.
Yeah.
Which is a disaster. One of the things that I have never understood why there are 50 state insurance commissioners, and you can't buy. Now, there's some places I guess can go across state lines, but one of the problems they've said is
so much cash going through the insurance.
Well, I understand that, but my point is that why do you the insurance is one of the most competitive things you can imagine. Why do you have to have an insurance czar in Florida? I mean, it's not protecting me from anything. Of course, and what they do is they soak the rest of us, for instance, for the people that are living on the beach.
Well, they do a bunch of stuff because because we let them, because they have power that somehow.
It's not like you can't pay your, and of course around here, as you know, if you cancel your insurance, especially your automobile insurance, they pound on your door.
That's what. Well, not only that, they'll cancel your driver's license within a few months' time. Your insurance carrier is required to notify the state.
Right.
And of course, you can't buy a home without homeowners insurance.
Actually, you
can.
Well, you can. You're a fool. You don't have to have mortgage insurance.
Right.
But you're a fool not to have burn my house down insurance. But you don't have to have it if you pay cash.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah, the banks are going to insist.
Yes.
If you have a mortgage, they're going to insist that you have insurance because that's collateral.
Yeah, well, there are certain homeowner associations that will require you to have fire insurance as well.
Well, of course, you'd be fool not to, actually.
Well, okay, maybe so. I'm just... It's...
Yeah, that's right. Well, I can understand that. But
the insurance company, they're just used to messing with them, so... Health insurance is...
All right, moving on to the impeachment.
Okay, yes, we have to talk about this.
Talk about it. U.S. Senator Leader McConnell raises the possibility of a quick impeachment trial. Now, I thought this was interesting because I was listening to Scott Adams, and he was railing about the fact that he said, why, I think was it Scott or was it, what's his name, Shapiro, that said, why was he waiting until next year or whatever to do all this stuff when, why is he dragging it out? It's for his own personal whatever it is, something or another, that he would drag it out. Well, apparently he's not going. He says now he's not going to. They want to have a real quick one. Well, the Trumpster doesn't like this. The Trumpster says, wait a minute. If you're going to have a quick vote on this, you're not going to get to call up all the people that you'd like to call up and have them witnesses. And one of them, of course, one of the witnesses that they might call is Junior Biden.
Yeah.
And he is getting in even deeper water than you can imagine, off to the side. You know why, don't you?
He had
a stripper that
he's
got a kid.
Yeah.
He's got a kid. And she is saying, where's the money?
Yeah.
And so she's suing to find out about how much money he has, so he'll pay the big child support.
Mm.
And I think that it's interesting. I mean, if the feds don't get it, or if the Congress or the Senate doesn't get him up there, she's going to have his butt, to find out what all his money is. And
well, that's personal stuff.
I know, but it's still. I'm saying it doesn't look all that great.
No, I mean it's not great, but that's
all. That's all he has to do is to testify in two things. One, I have no money, I guess, for her.
Yeah.
But then when you go up in front of the Senate. Mm-hmm. If they were ever do that, the Donald wants a more extended trial, an actual trial.
Well,
and of course, a lot of people are saying to get it over with and move on. So
yeah, I mean that's the strategic question: is do you put witnesses up there and, like you said, get to grill the witnesses that you want to grill about the things that you want to get out there, or do you just let everybody vote and get it over with and get it done with? I don't know that there's any good answer to that from a strategy standpoint. I think I would just try to give them as much hell as possible from a strategic.
If you watched West Wing, you'll find out what the strategies are.
Right, yeah.
They had a bunch of that stuff when they were doing they did not an impeachment, but they did a censure on Bartlett.
Right.
And it was a big deal. And they went through the whole thing. I mean, just, all the back.
Well, and I want to comment on that a little bit because I talked about what Dershowitz had said last time when he talked about the impeachment and the grounds for it. And I just want to reiterate what I've said a couple of times, which is the reason why there's this confusion about the standard for impeachment and why it's so nebulous, why you can have on one side people saying there's no basis for this in law or in the Constitution, and on the other hand people say, oh my God, if they go forward with this, obviously this is very solid, they've got it, it's no problem, it's a slam dunk. And the reason is the problem, it comes down to one single word in the Constitution, and the word is misdemeanor.
Okay.
And the problem is that the way that the word is used in the Constitution differs from the way that it's used today, apparently.
Okay.
There's no way to tell, though.
No.
Because you can't infer what the people were thinking back then when they ratified this Constitution. Was this word somehow in their heads, or was this just in the text?
It's been a while since I read the...
Well, the key phrase is that the president can be impeached for, and then it lists a few normal crimes, like bribery and extortion, and then it says, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. Now, high crimes fits with bribery and extortion and those types of things, but misdemeanors doesn't. Misdemeanors describes in today's parlance, in everyday legal terminology, a very minor crime. In fact, the most minor crime.
Right.
And it didn't say other high crimes and felonies.
Yeah.
It said other high crimes and misdemeanors. Now the problem is that word is not used anywhere else. Except these two contexts. One in the Constitution, where it seems to mean something like a high crime, and then another place in today's parlance where it seems to mean a low crime.
I wonder if it's covered in any of the Federalist Papers.
Yeah.
How many of them were there? 15?
47 or
47,
something. Yeah, I mean there's a bunch of them.
They talk about everything.
They do talk about it, but
I haven't looked it up.
And I'm sure that there is a contemplation of the way that the word misdemeanor was used at that time. Mm-hmm. They do that. They do that kind of analysis. Say, oh, well, in the 1700s, word misdemeanor used meant this. The problem is that that's not what it means today. So even if it meant that back then, you can't necessarily say that they meant what it meant back then.
Yes, you can.
You're like, okay,
That's,
there you go.
otherwise, because what you're saying is then it's a living constitution,
Well,
and
right.
that's BS. The fact is, if it's a living constitution, there is no constitution. It's if you don't like it, and we've done this on 28 times or whatever. If you don't like it, amend it, and that's just that simple.
Well, I'm with you on that particular analysis, but I'm not sure that misdemeanor word analysis has been done. So, and it's certainly not out there anywhere. So
no, it isn't.
It's a problem, which means it just means that now we could be in the situation people are talking about right now, which is that really from here going forward, if the president is in a different party from the people who run the House of Representatives, they're probably just going to impeach every single time.
Right. Well, that is one of the things that they said that's one of the things that they said was a real threat. And this is what happened with when Harry Reid, for instance, did the
nuclear option.
The nuclear option, and it came back and bite their butts.
Right.
And so you got to be real careful
Well,
about
this
that.
looks like exactly that. That is to say, they are now interpreting the Constitution in a way that is so broad that.
Gonna happen to you.
Because here's the thing, exactly.
Gonna happen to you.
Because if you're talking about misdemeanors as it's talking about today's language, misdemeanors, that's literally like
anything.
Anything. That's the snatching the ticket from the person.
Right.
This is the apparently flipping somebody off with the wrong. You can now say things in certain places.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so.
Well, I thought that speaking of, to go a little bit more on. Okay. On impeachment, I thought this was kind of interesting. On Impeachment Tuesday, Nancy Pelosi toasts the media at a holiday party. Now, wait a minute. What they did is House Speaker Nancy Pelosi toasted the media after articles of impeachment were announced to Tuesday, celebrating the reporters on Capitol Hill at a special holiday event. Pelosi raised her glass and toasted the press as the guardians of democracy.
A special Hollywood event or holiday event.
It was a special holiday event. Wait a minute. This is what I love about this. Let me see if I can get these two pages apart here. Go on here. On Impeachment Tuesday. What was interesting to me about this was up until the literally they had the House people on one party as they were getting ready to go home and everything, and they toasted the press. Because the press had, the bastion of democracy and all this stuff, and when you saw what was going on, it was a party. I mean, it was a real party. Now, what was interesting was the day before, I'm so solemn about this.
Oh,
I'm so sorry.
Horrible.
This is horrible. And this is a solemn, most
look,
solemn
everybody
day.
knows that's bullshit.
I know, but
And
I'm just
that's
saying
the
that in 24 hours they went from the most solemn, horrible, we really don't want to do this thing, to
well,
let's do the drinking now.
Exactly. It didn't even take that long, though. You could see it on their faces.
I know
this
that.
is what pissed Scott off so bad.
What I thought was interesting was when they were doing some of that stuff, the people that were standing there, and you know who was right in back of Nancy? Maxine.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean
she wasn't in back her. She was next to.
She was next to her, right,
Yeah.
right. But I mean, I thought,
and Maxine could barely keep from busting a smile.
honest to God,
She had that sanctimonious parental, whatever it is, look on her face, like she was getting the nephew in trouble now.
Well, there's that guy from upstate New York, I think, who's a black guy. I mean, his name's like Bob Wilson or something. And but he said you have to impeach. You can't have him run. You got to get him out of there before. Got to impeach and take him out.
Yeah.
But of course, good luck on that.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
So
to try, but it's been interesting the backlash.
Yeah. Well, they've done polling in the swing states, and they're finding in Wisconsin, whatever it is, and they're finding that the people are the people that want to impeach are going down.
Oh yeah, well maybe so. I mean, I don't believe a damn poll that's out. Yeah, exactly. I mean, come on, it's still the economy. But did you see the one thing that was kind of on the same lines? Did you see the Thanos commercial?
Now wait a minute, that was the. Let's see, Thanos. No, tell me about it. I forgot.
Okay,
that's not the Peloton.
No,
the Thanos.
So this is Trump. Okay.
Oh yes, Thanos, the Avenger.
Yes.
Okay.
Now he's not. Thanos is the bad guy.
Oh, is that right?
Yes. And his goal, Thanos' goal, this is straight out of Socialism 101, is he has determined that there aren't enough resources in the galaxy for everybody. So he's going to kill half of the life out there, and then there'll be plenty.
Okay.
That's it. That's the whole goal. So
Right.
so just to totally
So
first
they put Trump's head on.
yes,
Okay.
they put Trump's head on Thanos.
Okay.
And now the way that he does this is he gets this all-powerful gauntlet together, and he assembles this gauntlet together, and then he snaps this finger. Okay, that's how he activates the power.
Oh, and the end, he snapped his finger, and the impeachment people disappeared.
Yes.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
Okay, so but what's hilarious? Yeah, no, what's hilarious is that the Democrats and the press are covering this as if it's a horrible mistake by Trump because he's portrayed as the bad guy, as if anybody cares.
Right.
Like
He's the guy who can snap his fingers.
that's number one. It's the all-powerful thing
Yeah.
is the thing. But it was just that it's not even that. It's the whole concept is you're talking about him, okay? You're
Yeah.
putting his name out there.
Right.
This is a recognition game, and he's winning because he trolled you with an advertisement here.
Yeah.
And they're saying how stupid Trump was. Like it's all over the press. How stupid Trump was to do this advertisement because it makes him be the bad guy. And oh, by the way, the bad guy loses in the end to the Avengers.
Okay.
And
We'll see. Well, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, got 4 more years.
yeah, well, yeah,
5 more years.
He doesn't lose in the first in the episode 1 or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. There we are. See, we're getting to the end. In the end of episode 1 is here in 11
right.
months
We
or
could-
whatever.
yeah, it could
and then
be.
we go to episode 2. That's good. Okay, a couple things here in a row. Humanity is on the move. I saw this interesting. Scientists are starting to plan a 1,000-year trip to a distant planet. They're actually making. Wait, this is what's so funny about this is it reminds me of at the end of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah.
When they sent the ships out and they sent the people that were the telephone washer people. I mean the useless people. They put them all on a ship and they were on this planet. And when the other people there showed up, and they're in the tub, they're washing, and they're doing, and let's have another meeting. I say, and they're the bureaucrats.
Okay.
So they backed up all the bureaucrats up and sent them off. And the idea was obviously, and they're going to follow us. You know, the rest because Earth is going to be destroyed, and so they should be along any time. Of course, they've been doing this on this planet for years. And they've gotten nothing done because it's all about meetings. So that reminds me, this is a 1,000-year trip. I mean, how would you know? I mean, what you do is you say, yeah, how would you like to go? We're putting this big ship together and you're going to have a whole brand new life. And, the whole deal is, and bye-bye.
Nobody's doing that.
No, I know, but I looked at this and immediately I thought of Hitchhiker's Guide, the end of it. And
yeah, that's a good analogy because, and just so everybody understands, the chaos that's involved in reality that goes over 100 years is so enormous, especially in today's technological.
You would have to have a ship that's the size of the moon.
What you mean? What to
if you're going to do anything like this, you'd have to have 1 million people.
Well, yeah, it would have to be self-sustaining system
Right.
for generations,
Right.
and that they're not gonna do that for a long time.
Well, the other thing is, I remember one of the stories I read was one like this, where it was a 1,000-year trip or whatever it was, or it might have been a couple of lifetimes, whatever. And they were going to this planet like Proxima, whatever it is,
Proxima Centauri.
Yeah, Proxima is 4.25 light years away, and they think there's a planet. They think there's a planet that's similar to Earth. So you get there. Shit, it's gone. Damn, what happened? It was
the average temperature is 200 degrees,
right,
not 100 degrees.
It was Alderaan,
That's right.
It was blowed up by the Death Star. No, but I just think it was interesting that in this one science fiction story, they get to the planet. They come out or whatever, they get to the planet, and there's all kinds of people. Hey, good to see you. Come on, yeah. Well, we invented super light speed about 10 minutes after you left, and we've been here the whole time.
Yeah.
so,
There's no way to stop you.
No way to stop
There was
you.
a comic book like that. That was.
I'm sure. Well, okay. The other thing that New York City has decided to do, this is great, and there's a suit on this. New York City's homeless are sent to Marietta, Georgia, and other cities. Now, what they've done, this is kind of what we were talking about when they were what Norway was doing with some of their people.
Mm-hmm.
They were paying them money to go back to the Middle East or something like
Right.
that. And so New York's decided to do the same thing. What they're doing is a New York City program that relocates its homeless to other cities around the country.
Yeah, we covered this a few weeks ago.
Did we?
Yeah, because we were wondering whether or not it was Bloomberg getting ready to make his announcement.
Oh.
And getting the people off the streets. But it's pretty routine that they do this and send them.
I didn't know that.
Places, yeah.
That's the first.
What we talked about, they actually had a program where they would give them a couple of months' rent.
It says here a year.
Okay,
They give them a year, and provides 1 year's rent for eligible clients to relocate within the city or other cities or states. Well, and of course the city of Newark apparently is one of these places, and they're suing, saying the money you're giving them they're in a hovel. I mean, they're in who is. Here's where they're living. They're living in the worst slumlord places.
Well, it's also totally unsustainable. I mean, they're going to blow through that $1,000 in no time.
Yeah, right. So anyway, I just thought it was interesting. There's nobody's checking on them. They're just shipping them out, And I know that at one time when we were doing our homeless thing here, years ago, when the old Jimmy Doane show, when Eric and everybody were doing this stuff, we were talking about busing everybody, the homeless. Our solution was, instead of with their failed solution down here, was they've got a dignity village, which is a joke. And but I said, load them up, send them. Here's your bus fare to any place.
Well, we do send them. I remember getting people bus fares out of jails. They'll often send people to, for example, Tallahassee, and we'll just put them on a bus.
Of course, Tallahassee's putting them on a bus to come down here, I guess.
Maybe, but I don't know. They've got some sort of more diplomatic connections there. So.
Okay, the other thing, I forgot about that one. This was a big news deal today. I thought this was kind of interesting because I've got a brother-in-law who is a ex-baseball player, and he's been retired, quote unquote. He works now, I think, for the Cleveland Indians or something. But he was his signing bonus. This was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, or something. It was like $1 million, $2 million, or at least. And he was pitcher, and he made pretty good money. Well, apparently it's gone up. It's gone up just a tad. Yanks land Ace Cole, this guy named Cole, $324 million over 9 years.
Wow, that's a lot.
The New York Yankees landed the biggest prize of the free agent market, adding Garrett Cole to their rotation with a $324 million 9-year contract. And I felt it was interesting that that's a lot of money.
Yeah, I can tell you that what's happening is, at least I read a lot about the opening up of the internet to the streaming sports market.
Ah, yes, that's right.
And if you think about the numbers involved, that what happened in the last couple of decades was the appearance of pay-per-view.
Right.
And these pay-per-view events, a big one may get 1 million buys. 1 million buys at $50 a buy is obviously $50 million. Right. Well, that's a huge revenue
for a fight.
That's right, for one night. And they can also sell tickets and all kinds of stuff and the whole. But $50 million, you can't scoff at that. Well, think about the internet. There are potentially 1 billion. You could have 1 billion visitors. That's right. Or realistically, 100 million viewers. If you had 100 million at $50 a piece.
Yeah.
Now you're talking some real cash.
Even at $1 a piece, it's $100 million.
Exactly.
Oh,
I mean, it's real cash. So what's happening is there's a group called DAZN. They call themselves, which is short. It's obviously The Zone.
Okay.
But it's DZN or something like that.
Okay.
And it's on the web anyway. Then they just signed one of the biggest boxers for 300 and something million.
Wow.
And I wonder if that's not somehow fueling these types of offers.
Well, what's happened is, of course, it reminds me of one of my most favorite movies was called Moneyball.
Yes.
And this was
Yes, we've talked about it several times.
I know we have, but I thought it was interesting because they were talking about how the team that this guy was going for when they were doing the computerized business and everything, they had like a tenth the budget of the New York Yankees.
Right.
And the owner of the team was saying, look, we don't have that budget. The Yankees couldn't buy, and they had at the beginning of the movie they had bought the Yankees had bought their 3 top guys out from under them, and stripped them basically, and that's what we're looking at here. And I was looking at the guy's record. He's been around. This guy Cole or whatever has been around for a while. I think he's been in for maybe 8 or 10 years or something. But his last year he has a 2.25 ERA, which is not too shabby.
No.
And I mean that's I know that my brother-in-law, who was a relief pitcher, his last year, whatever, his ERA was around 6 or 7. So, but he was a relief pitcher. Anyway, $36 million as an average for any player, and they talked about an outfielder, Mike Trout, $425 million and a 12-year deal. But I just thought this guy can opt out after after 4 years. So it's just kind of interesting to me to see the kind of money, as you say, the kind of money they're talking about. And I sometimes go back and look and see what Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus made on the golf tour, as opposed to our friend,
I mean, 62,000.
Yeah, right.
They're rolling.
I mean,
they're loving it.
Rolling in dough. Yeah. Well, if it wasn't for the fact that they all had shirts and everything, I mean, it was all.
Yeah. Well, that was the dawn of the sports era.
Yeah. Well, when television came on,
Yeah, branding and everything. This is great, man. We're in boom times.
Boom times. Okay, I got one more thing to say. I mean, another thing on the impeachment. I thought this was kind of ironic. Bill Clinton has weighed in on the impeachment. Congress is just doing their job. This Bill Clinton weighing in, former President Bill Clinton, the only living American president to have gone through the same process, weighed in on Tuesday on the House Democrats' bid to impeach President Trump, saying lawmakers they're doing what they believe is right. And they're doing their job, and we should just wait to see if it unfolds and so forth. But it will be interesting to see when and if that vote, the House vote, does go, which I think they're talking about having it before Christmas, which is, no time at all.
I've heard that.
But certainly, I think aren't they on their Christmas vacation? I mean, in their Christmas vacation, like all the month of December?
I was going to say, nobody does anything in December in legal world, so.
No. So anyway, they, again, remember, abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. I just never have quite understood obstruction of Congress.
Well, that is their weakest ground. Actually, they blew it on that one.
Yeah.
Because
they should have done what?
Well, what they're alleging there is that when Donald Trump asserted executive privilege,
right, and he didn't
for
want
his witnesses,
right,
that he obstructed the process of impeachment somehow. The problem is that that's a judicial determination. That's something that would have to go to the Supreme Court to be determined.
Okay.
So for them to allege that that's a grounds of impeachment is kind of like them alleging that just one of his separated powers is an impeachable power.
Okay.
And they can't do that without any check on themselves, which would be a Supreme Court ruling on the issue.
Okay.
So that's like they shouldn't have done that. They should have just said obstruction of justice somehow. They should have just laid it out there as their allegation, and they didn't need to go beyond a reasonable doubt, which is in a standard a court of law would use, and it would be thrown out. They just need to go preponderance of the evidence, I think. It may even be clear and convincing, which they could all say that they were clearly convinced, and that is that he used the office to influence the election improperly. Done.
Well, so to his own advantage.
Right, exactly. And then there you go. You got an allegation there. Nobody can say that it's not true. You can't prove that it's not true at this point. It doesn't seem like it, and so.
Well, it'll be interesting.
Good enough.
I'm really looking forward to the vote to see if there's if any of the Democrats, because they have, what do they have, a 30 or 40 vote majority in the House, and it'll be interesting to see if there's any people that drop off.
Right.
Any Democrats that say, "No, I'm not voting for that," because they got to run for election, and they won it last time by this much. And so we'll see.
Well, yeah, and I don't know how the people see this. It is
Now, here's the next thing that I thought was really fantastic.
Mhm.
There are two things. Oh, well, one more thing about the impeachment. While the impeachment was going on, and this is the real fear that the Democrats have, the Senate has been confirming judges right and left. And I mostly mean right. I mean, they've been hundreds of judges. And
yeah,
while
he's been prolific at a point.
very prolific. I mean, the federal bench has been filled up with these fairly, as anybody will tell you, a lot of them are real conservative.
Yeah.
And of course, that's the stuff that gets rolled up into the Supreme Court or not. And the Senate confirmed 4 federal judges while the House heard impeachment testimony on Tuesday. And I thought this was the public interest lawyer Democrats say will trim abortion. They're all panicking about the abortion thing. Well, if the Trumpster stays in, well, if he only has to stay in for 1 more year, he could still appoint 100 judges and have them confirmed by the Senate, because that's what the Senate does. And that could change, forget the Supreme Court, that could change the tenor of all.
Well, it already has.
I know it already has.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, no, that's been one of his biggest influences, and like you said, one of the left's biggest fears.
Absolutely.
But you never know who you're going to get when you put judges on there, as we've talked about many times. And I have a lot of faith in the judiciary as being.
You would.
Yeah, I would. I'm totally biased, but as more apolitical than most people think, for the most part.
It does seem that if you're a judge, it does seem as though you do have I mean, you hear about the rogue judges, all over the place, but generally speaking, as you say, I think they take their responsibility pretty.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. Quite. There's a long tradition that goes back centuries. It's not just something that was created with the Republic. That's the thing. And those traditions, some of those traditions that go back the centuries, when you got a tradition that's been around for centuries, passed down from smart people to other smart people, it's been weaned down to some pretty good stuff at that point. So,
well, if you want to know anything, this is one about
religion. No.
Yeah. Well, if you want to see the way the British judges work,
yes.
Here's what you do: you get the very first episode of Jeeves and Wooster.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the first 5 minutes of it are when he's in the dock and the judge is, "This is the worst, most horrible thing you can imagine. I have never seen such a horrible, and I have known that will be 5 pounds." So I just thought it was, when you see that, that goes on and on. Anyway, I always talk about West Wing, but Jeeves and Wooster is another one that is just classic, beautiful.
Yeah,
because it stars House.
Huh?
It stars House.
Yeah,
but
that's not a political show.
No, they have a little bit of politics in it, but not. But it's humor. It's humor.
Hey, TJ.
Yeah. Okay. So the other piece of big news that hit: Time Magazine's Person of the Year.
Oh yes.
Yes. Can you imagine? They had a polling, and there were 96% thought it should be the rioters in the democracy people in Hong Kong, the people of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, that was all over the place. They said here let's see,
it's not exactly a person.
No, but they've done that before. They've done the person.
They're cheating.
Okay. So anyway, what's interesting is the short list included Rudy Giuliani, Megan Rapinoe, who know that is President Trump, and Nancy Pelosi. That was the short list. And Greta gets it.
Yeah, Rapinoe is a soccer player, I think.
Oh, is that right?
It's the female soccer player. Yeah, well, you can't give it to Trump all the time. They're probably going to give it to him next year if he wins the election. No, that was the Nobel Prize. Yeah, I mean on that list, but I mean poor Greta.
Well, here's the award comes a day after Brazil's President Bolsonaro blasted the teenage girl as a brat over her comments regarding the deforestation of the Amazon. Yeah. So he was not so much into times.
He's not having it.
No, he's not having it.
Well, look, the poor girl, she's been set up there. Her latest lectures that she gave to the people were, "Oh my God, stuff is not happening. It's been a year. We've been protesting for a year." Mm-hmm. what's going on.
Well, I forget,
It won't take long before she realizes what's going on.
Yeah, right. Well, it is interesting that the person of the year, of course, and this moment, and of all people, Vice President, ex-Vice President, former Vice President Al Gore.
Al Gore.
He weighed in. Now, I don't understand how.
He's a heavyweight these days.
Boy, you got that right. He put on a couple of pounds. The moment
got a little energy crisis going on there.
Yeah, I don't think so. So he won the Nobel Peace Prize for his decades of climate advocacy work. Decades, and after he invented the internet. No, but but the thing about it is, he won it. I didn't look it up, but when did he? It was been 15 years or something.
Yeah, 20.
Maybe 20 years.
Yeah.
And at that time, it was we had a dozen years tops. By 2012, you were supposed to be, if it was the tipping point.
What are you trying to say?
I'm trying to say that that anybody actually listens to him is phenomenal. I mean, I guess when you're in that group, and of course
he did the
filthy
movie,
rich,
and then he did the second movie.
Yeah.
And there's still just enough. There's still just enough leeway. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the triple solar minimum here that's coming up in the next few decades, because the temperature will potentially get measurably colder. And
the triple solar minimum?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
That we're entering a triple solar minimum cycle where 3 different sun cycles are entering the minimum.
Oh, okay. Because
the 11 years
we've got right now, we're at the bottom of this particular one.
Okay.
And we're supposed to be at the top here in about 6 years.
Okay.
That's when the maximum number will be for this cycle.
Okay. Well, there's like a 34-year cycle and a 62-year cycle.
Okay, I'd forgotten about that. Yeah.
And then there's also like a tilt abrogation.
Right, the wobble.
Yeah, or something like that. And I don't know exactly.
Magnetic field poop.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know which minimum.
I don't know what happened, son, but a compass just went around the other way.
We're supposed to go down right now. But yeah, so we'll see if anybody changes their tune. And I think what'll probably happen is they'll say what they just did recently, which is, well, the global warming is now it's global warming, it's climate change.
Well, I tell you, they have really gone off the deep end in Australia. There are wildfires that they said never had so many wildfires. The temperatures, and of course, what's interesting is they said the temperature has gone up, 3 or 4 degrees Celsius, and I said, well, that's around the fire. I can understand that. But I mean, it's just a huge swaths. Now, one of the things that's kind of interesting, and I don't care whether you like it or not, but the fact is that there's nobody in Australia. I mean,
in
the outback
part,
burns off.
Well, and you know why? Because there's fires out there.
That's right.
That are dangerous.
Yeah. So anyway, this is the worst in Australian history, which of course isn't all that long.
Yeah, I was going to say they don't have more than a few decades of history over there.
But they are now. The marchers are going to not Sydney, but the Adelaide? What's the capital of Australia? I should know that.
Oh, it's not Sydney?
I don't think so. I think it's
Queensland.
No, Queensland is not. That's what you call a place. Yeah, that's the whole province. Okay, somebody's going to call. I'm going to call me out on this. Huh?
Melbourne.
Yeah, no. I don't know. I think it might be Adelaide. Adelaide, I don't know. I just happen to think of that. Okay.
Sorry, Damien.
Yeah, sorry, buddy. Well, I say. Here's the last item I've got. We're coming here a little short here, unless you got stuff. The architect of Mexico's war on cartels was just arrested in Texas and accused of drug trafficking. Now, this guy, former high-ranking Mexican security official who led the country's crackdown on organized crime in the mid-2000s, was arrested in the U.S. on Monday and been charged with conspiracy to import and distribute drugs and making false statements. He was this guy, Gennaro, whatever he is, was arrested in Dallas by U.S. federal agents, and they were going to try and get him up to New York. But he stands accused of taking in millions of dollars in bribes from El Chapo, Guzman's Sinaloa, whatever's cartel, while he controlled Mexico's federal police force and was responsible for ensuring public safety in Mexico. So I thought it was interesting that he was there in Dallas and he was let's see, what did they say? He was accused of making false statements with regard to immigration and naturalization application. So he's trying to become a citizen. And they said, "What, are you the guy?" And they arrested him because they apparently had all kinds of stuff while he was being the protector and sort of going after the cartels. I don't understand. I'm actually in Mexico, with the amount of drugs that are around there, everybody's corrupt. I don't care who you are. They buy them all off.
Yeah.
I mean, you were telling me the other day, we're like a dozen mayors and a dozen.
Yeah. 2 dozen or something.
They've just been off.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bad situation. It's bad. That's all you got, man. Yeah. Let's see, I think we did my one main thing. I did have there was another Trump meme I wanted to direct everybody's attention to. Check this out. Let's see if I can pull it up here.
Look at that. This Hillary.
Yeah.
Oh, which reminds me, how are you coming in on whether she's going to come in or not?
I still think it's looking good. This is just a real quick. So what this is a look at this. They rub it in. They put the electoral map in here. Now this is being narrated right now by Thanos, and they've got the various characters, and he's kicking their butts, Comey and Schiff. But or that's Mueller. But anyway, it's just a funny meme. But this is where actually the Trump meme came from.
Okay.
This is somebody else did this whole Trump substitution more than a year ago, and they've had 1 million hits.
Wow.
So that's what you're going to get basically. So anyway. There's that. And then let's see. Oh, and then I had this video. You know about the Cybertruck, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, now they've been taking orders for it and everything, and.
Yeah. I mean, it's going well. I mean, whatever. But this is interesting. This is a video of a simulation of the Cybertruck.
I see.
On the wrong side of the road here.
Yeah.
So hopefully this will be a new video game where you get to just crush stuff with your Cybertruck. Just flipping cars.
That's
and
it.
Motorhomes and stuff up in the air. It's great. Just bip. So, and look, it's got cracked windows, which is nice.
Yeah.
So anyway. All right, that's all I had.
Well, this is a little early. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. We're starting to come into finally we're going to come into our little winter here. I noticed the temperature dropped about 20 degrees since yesterday.
It's hideous.
Yeah, hideous, right.
Hideous. From the planet Hideon. That's right. Well, TJ, anything you want to talk about? I saw you were on there. Whoops, I keep hitting the wrong buttons down here. Canberra.
Oh, Canberra's okay. That's the capital of Australia.
Oh, okay.
That's what it is. Thank you for.
Thanks, man.
Thank you for looking that up.
Thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate it. Come back anytime. Let's see. These tracks brought to you by Kevin MacLeod. We appreciate it, Kevin. And we will be back on 15th, see, 12/30, 14th.
Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday.
At any rate, we'll be back on Sunday.
That's right.
Should have a bunch of extra news by then because there's stuff happening. I think this week before they all boogie out of town.
You never know. They could actually do something up there.
Well, you know, the other thing that we didn't talk about, of course, is the unbelievable riots. So we talked about it a little bit in last time about France is still shut down.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, you can't do anything. You want to go any place in France? No.
Oh, well.
And one of the problems they got is what's interesting. One of the things that's stopped in France is the gas. So that even if you want to hop in your car and go someplace, you're not going to make it very far.
Yeah. Yep. Well, hey, thanks, TJ. 4 o'clock. We do this every Wednesday and Sundays. 4 o'clock. Join us anytime. And I post a timestamp copy up on YouTube also, with all the subjects timestamped so that you can click around. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon.